Yo guys, welcome back again today. Today we're going to be talking about Sarah Breedlove, also known as Madam C.J. Walker. She was born on December 23rd, 1867 in Louisiana. Being born just 2 years after the freedom of slaves in the United States. Sarah's parents, Anderson Breedlove and Minerva Breedlove, were enslaved during the Civil War and also had 4 boys and 1 other girl, being freed not far after. All of Sarah's siblings and parents would be born into slavery, while she was the first one born after the Emancipation Proclamation. Growing up as a farm laborer, sharecropper, and laundress would teach Sarah a hard work ethic. In 1873, her mother would die, and 1 year later her father would as well. Becoming an orphan at 7, Walker and her older sister would work in cotton fields in the Louisiana Delta. At the age of 10, she and her sister would move to the nearby state of Mississippi. Here, she would become a domestic servant with very little to no education, the only education being from the church on Sundays in her former years. At the age of 14, she would marry Moses McWilliams and have only 1 daughter, Alelia, on June 6, 1885. Unfortunately, her husband would die 2 years later, and she would move to St. Louis where she had 4 brothers who were barbers. Walker would work for $1.50 a day and managed to save enough money to put her daughter in public schools. Sarah would befriend many other black women in organizations such as the National Association of Colored Women and the St. Paul AME Church. These interactions with different ways of thinking would open Walker's mind. Soon after, Walker would face a problem. And this problem would also be the source of her greatest success. Sarah would soon begin to suffer from scalp problems, loss of hair, random illness, and lack of access to clean water. She would speak with her brothers for advice, experiment with products from stores, and make her own remedies at home. In 1905, Sarah would move to Denver to become a sales agent for Annie Malone. And this is where she would come across the mix she would need to become a millionaire. Selling Malone's hair product, a highly successful rich African-American woman, Sarah would have the product eventually dissected. Sarah would remove and add what she thought would be the perfect recipe for African-American women's hair. Sarah would also remarry to St. Louis newspaperman Charles Joseph Walker. This is also where she acquired her last name as Madam C.J. Walker. She would go on to create her own business and change her name to Madam C.J. Walker. Walker would sell Madam Walker's Wonderful Hair Grower, a healing formula, and scalp conditioner. Walker would then go on to promote her products throughout the South to blacks, going door to door, demonstrating her products in lodges and churches. Though this was not an easy task with limited resources, nonetheless, she would devise marketing strategies and sales strategies as well. In 1908, she would move and base her company out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She would also open a college to train others in that area as well. In 1910, she would relocate to the country's largest inland manufacturing center, Indianapolis, and build a factory, manicure, hair salon, and yet another training school. In less than a year, Walker would give $1,000 to building the Fund of Colored YMCA in Indianapolis. This would make her the first woman and African American to do so. She would go on to be around black press around the country. She also stated that she wanted the embetterment of the black race, and this was just the start of what we all should contribute. Walker had big dreams and wanted to involve and grow her brand throughout the black world. Walker would travel to the Caribbean and Central America to expand her business. Walker and her husband would get a divorce as well at this time. Her daughter at this time would move into a new townhouse. This house was estimated to be over $250,000, which is a significant amount of money in modern times right now. Created by black architect Vertner Tandy, the first licensed black architect in New York City. Walker's daughter would state, "There's nothing to equal it, not even on Fifth Avenue." In 1960, Madam C.J. Walker would move to New York. She would leave the everyday operations back in Indianapolis to Alice Kelly and Ransom. Overseeing her business from New York, she soon became involved in Harlem's politic life and social life. She would go on to give $5,000 to the NAACP anti-lynching movement. After a lynching in 1917, where a white mob murdered more than 40 black people in East St. Louis, Illinois, Madam C.J. Walker would join fellow Harlem leaders to visit the White House. This group would present a petition advocating federal anti-lynching legislations. Walker will also make donations to elderly homes, educational scholarships, the NAACP, and other organizations that improved African American lives. Delivering lectures on politics, social issues, and economics was very important to Madam C.J. Walker. She had many highly respected associates and friends such as W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. Very important people in history indeed. Even during World War I, Walker advocated to establish training camps for Black Army officers and was a leader in the Circle for Negro War Relief. The same year, Walker would have a convention in Philadelphia for her Hair Culturalist Union of America. Being highly organized, she would organize her agents into state and local clubs. Walker would use these gatherings to reward her agents, but to also make aware and encourage political activism. During her successful life, she would be a self-made businesswoman, set African American corporate standards, reassert the power of giving, and be a pioneer of African American cosmetics and care industry. Walker would die in New York of hypertension and kidney failure in 1919 at the age of 51. She is buried in Woodlawn Cemetery in Bronx, New York City. So yo guys, we learned about another woman of African descent today. Please like and subscribe, and also turn on the bell notification so you'll always get all my videos. Please add me on all my social medias, which is Snapchat, SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All are Afric Network. Yo guys, each one teach one, always stick together, always love each other, and always learn about your ancestors, because what we're doing today has been done in the past. So what has been done in the past can be done today. And yo guys, until next time, peace, one love.